Welcome. My name is Kate Marin. I'm a program manager at DC's Department of Small and Local Business Development. And today we have another session in our spring webinar series where we're bringing to DC businesses numbers of different organizations across the district and actually some national organizations as well who are all interested in supporting you in different ways. Many of those ways are regarding access to capital. And to that end, today we are really excited to have partners from the Coalition for Nonprofit Housing and Economic Development and from SMBX, and you're going to hear more about those. And I'm just going to turn things straight over to Phil Burkoff to kick us off.
Thanks, Kate. I'm very glad to be joined by Caroline from SMBX. And we have a great presentation for you today, and I think a really exciting financing option available for local small businesses in the District of Columbia. A little bit about myself. I'm Phil Burka. I'm the Senior Director of the DC Community Anchor Partnership at the Coalition for Nonprofit Housing and Economic Development. So when I'm not working with Caroline on this SMBX initiative, I am helping local minority-owned businesses get access to contracting opportunities with large anchor institutions, which are hospitals, universities, and utility companies in DC. If you are interested in that, if you're a local supplier, then definitely get in touch with me. I would love to chat about your work and figure out if there's a way to insert you into the supply chain of local institutions here in DC. But on the capital side, on the small business kind of more Main Street side of things, I think this is a wonderful partnership between SMBX, the CNHED, and Wells Fargo. And so I'm going to pass it right over to Caroline to give you an overview of how SMBX works, what the financing options are for local businesses, and then I can talk a little bit about what CNHED's role is in the partnership.
Hi, everyone. I am Caroline Cilia. I work at SMBX as a strategic sales partnership and also in content strategy. So I'm here today to just go through our presentation, explain a little bit about SMBX, what we do, how our partnership works, as Phil said, and as well give you some examples of DC businesses that have already raised capital on the platform. So we're just going to go right into it. So essentially, SMBX is a marketplace that connects businesses and everyday investors. We empower communities by making finance accessible for everyone. So in 2012, the Jobs Act was created. This was passed by President Obama, and in this particular law was the regulation crowdfunding, as we call it, Reg CF. And really what this means is that now small businesses can raise capital on a marketplace. These are bonds. So similar to, corporations and government that has always have bonds available to them as financing, now small businesses do. And really what this allows is for investors to invest in their community, invest in what they love, and keep the cycle of wealth inside the community. So since launching this particular initiative, which we call the DC Rebuild Bond Program, 27 DC businesses have been funded, and it's been $2.8 million that have been invested into these businesses. There are no fees for local residents to invest in the businesses they love. And the DC government, it actually funds this program. So there are no fees for raising the funds, aka there's no origination fee. It's a very unique and easy way to raise capital without going to the bank. So some of the DC businesses that have raised on the SMBX platform, you might know there are Makedo, Big Bear Coffee, Arcade Chocolates, Arepa Zone, CFO Services, El Tamarindo, Sticky Fingers and Sweets and Eats, Lucky Buns, Aurora Market, Hard Training Fitness Club, La Coupe Coffee. This is just a few of the many businesses that have been on the platform. So how do you qualify to raise on the platform? There's really just a few requirements. The first one is 6 months of revenue generating operations. So that means you have to be in business for at least 6 months. Any owner that has 20% or greater or other business partners must pass a background check. And if for some reason that doesn't clear, then there will be a credit check. And really, we're targeting businesses that are looking to raise anywhere from 25,000 to 5 million. And what you'll need to actually qualify is up to 2 years of financial statements. But again, if you've only been in business for 6 months, then you'll only need the 6 months of financial statements. You're going to need like your P&L, your cash flow, your tax returns, things of that nature. You'll also need to show your operating agreement or articles of incorporation, also your current business license and insurance. So the SMBX experience for business owners, what really makes it unique is that it's a fixed rate term loan. And obviously, as we stated earlier in the DC Rebuild Bond Program, there's no origination fee. For everybody else that's outside of the DC area, there's a 6% origination fee. So that does save quite a lot of money. There are no personal guarantees. The entire process is anywhere from 2 to 4 months, given the amount that you're going to raise. And really, it gives the opportunity to your community to have an unbeatable ROI. So you're building a brand, an army of brand ambassadors. And for retail investors, this is really allowing them to invest in brands that align with their values. You can purchase bonds anywhere from $10, that's the lowest amount, up to the amount of the raise. And, as our favorite thing, it's your street cred. You're investing in the community that's around you. So that's a really powerful sentiment. The idea being invest in what you love. So the process is really simple. You're just going to start off, and the first part will be meeting with an SMBX sales representative to chat a little bit more about your business. From there, you'll be sent to an online portal where you upload those financial documents. Then after that quote is passed on to you, you'll sign those documents, and then you'll start to meet with the team. The marketing team is there to support you. So I think the biggest thing to know is that it's a partnership. It's not just on you to let your community know. When you raise on SMBX, you're also getting the support of the SMBX investor community. And then finally, the last part is the repayment. And repayment is amortized. So it's just like a mortgage. It's going to be the same amount for every month for the duration of the bond. And repayment does begin immediately after the process is finished. So when you are finished with SMBX on the offering, you will close. It'll take about 2 weeks to reconcile all of the accounts. And then from there, the money will be deposited into your account and you'll begin repayment the next month. So these are some of the examples actually of how we market to our network. We do custom email blasts, as you see. We do a lot of promotions. Sometimes we do Facebook ads and Instagram ads. We have our own PR team, so they'll reach out to local press. We have a lot of great relationships with local press, especially the Washington Business Journal. We've had quite a few write-ups for our particular issuers on this. And then really just dedicated marketing emails to our network, which is around 20,000 subscribers, and just kind of giving incentives for audience to invest more. This is just an example of what some of the collateral will look like. So our marketing team makes all of this. You don't have to worry about any of it. Like I said before, it's really a partnership between us and you, the small business owner. And then this is actually what the onboarding portal looks like. So as you can tell, it's really streamlined, straightforward. If at any point in the process you have questions, you can always, add comments and email our team members and they'll help you out. that's pretty much the entire, that's it. So
Awesome. Thanks, Carol.
yeah, I was like,
Um,
Phil, maybe now's the time for you to talk about how the technical assistance side, and I can even go back and
Yeah, no, I would love to do that. And that was a very succinct overview
yeah.
of SMBX. I mean, it is one of the fast. I think what sets it apart from a lot of other financing options at the moment is that, it's like it's like very on par. The terms are very on par with traditional loans from banks, if not a little bit more affordable. But then you get more affordability through the partnership with the district.
Mm.
And you get a ton of marketing support from the SMBX team. So you really get your company's name out there, which is really, really cool. CNHED's role in this is to launch on SMBX. You just have to have your financials in order. And CNHED will provide up to about $12,000 in financial documentation services. So if you are, if you've been running your business, you've been super busy, but you're a little bit behind keeping all of your invoices in order and receipts in order, then we work with a firm to get all of that in the format that SMBX requires to basically initiate your raise. So it's incredible value. We work really fast to make sure that your business is in good standing and all of your documents are in tip-top shape. So that's the partnership with CNHED. It's again incredible value, and we're very grateful to be able to offer that service through a large grant from Wells Fargo. And yeah, we've been able to support a number of businesses with that. So yeah, so I'm wondering if there are, Kate, I don't know if folks are able to ask questions, but we're happy to answer any
Yeah.
questions that people have
Yeah.
about the partnership, about with SMBX.
Absolutely. And so if folks want to ask questions, you can feel free to drop those in the chat. And then, if you see the hand raise feature, you can also raise your hand and I can unmute you. Either one is fine. And then I think as we're waiting to see if any questions come in, I might have a couple to kick us off and get us started. I'm gonna take us. I'm gonna step us all the way back. This is a conversation. This is a conversation that we have with a number of entrepreneurs. Crowdfunding.
Yes.
In a short, brief sort of consideration, how would you best describe crowdfunding if someone was not familiar with it?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say crowdfunding is like having the opportunity to utilize your entire network to help your business grow. So it allows multiple people to support you. Oftentimes, I hear business owners say things like, oh, my friend really wants to, support me, but I don't know what I can do with their like $1,000 or $50 or, I had another friend say, oh, I really want to invest in that wine company, but I don't really drink wine. I'm more of a beer person, but I love this business owner. So SMBX allows your friends, family, your network, your community a way to support you that has never really been afforded before. People might be familiar with GoFundMe or Kickstarter, and those are donation-based services. So the difference is that we are an investment. So that I want to make that really clear to everyone. We're an investment. And so when people are, buying your bonds on the marketplace, they're actually investing in you. And there's not many opportunities for retail investors to invest as little as $10 and have access like that. So that's really what makes us so different.
Thank you for that. I see we have a question that came in the chat, so I'll ask that. And then other folks, definitely please keep asking questions, and I'll have a few more, but we'll make sure that we go through the ones that are in the chat. So the question is from someone who has a production company. They've
Sure.
been waiting. I'm sorry. The question is from someone who has a production company. They have been waiting for a type of funding to get their project off the ground. They've been in business for 2 years, but they don't have any financial statements because they have not yet produced the show.
Yeah.
Is this something you can assist with? Does this fit well with SMBX?
So unfortunately, that does not fit with SMBX because repayment starts immediately. So in your financial statements, we need to see that you are capable of beginning that repayment immediately. So we're not really a fit for like a startup or a business. They have to be, this is where this becomes important, the 6 months of revenue generating operations.
I'm gonna follow that question up with one that maybe somewhat relates, and again can encourage folks to continue asking questions. Do you find that most borrowers on SMBX have done other types of crowdfunding or maybe smaller platform crowdfunding and advanced up, or do a lot of people start just with SMBX as their first crowdfunding? Can you speak a little bit about what that might look like?
Yeah, I would say that there's no typical path. I think mostly we work with business owners who are really at an important growth stage. I would say another way to look at SMBX would actually be like the idea of a bridge loan. So we're this, you've been in business for a while, and all of a sudden you're like, I need some working capital to really, hire another person so that I continue to grow. And that's where SMBX becomes a really good fit for anyone. I mean, sure, if you've done, crowdfunding before, that definitely helps you understand. The real difference is that with other crowdfunding platforms, it's donation based. And then I would say the other part of that is that with SMBX, there's a partnership. So not only are you getting, obviously the financials, you're getting the loan, but you're also getting the support of a team. Whereas if you were to do, Kickstarter, for example, Kickstarter doesn't have any skin in that game. So they're not going to, send out to their subscribers about maybe they will, but more than likely they won't. Whereas we send 2 dedicated emails a week to our investor network to let them know about all the small businesses that are on the platform. So that would be, I know that's not like there's always this there, but there really is no typical you know path to funding like that.
That is fantastic. Can I ask you a little bit about the investors on the platform, and maybe from the perspective, different people decide to invest for different reasons. But small businesses who are thinking about raising may also think about investing in other businesses. Can you talk a little bit about what it means for folks to sort of get involved more than once as becoming an investor in SMBX? What does that
Sure.
look like?
Absolutely. I would say that, yeah, I think people invest for all different reasons. I would say some people are really passionate about supporting small business because they frankly saw what happened during COVID and how small businesses really took a hit. So this is a new way to help support small business. For so many of us, we all lived in these areas and communities where, if restaurants were closed, they were like, oh, please, buy gift cards. And, you can buy all the gift cards you want, but there is something special about being able to like invest actual cash to help that business get back up and running. Excuse me. And so I think that really is a unique perspective. I would also say investors on the SMBX platform are really interested in not just supporting their particular neighborhood, but they're also interested in supporting, people that are like them. So community can be reflected in a couple of different ways. It can be like your actual local community, or it could be women business owners. As I can say, hey, I want to support women businesses. It can be, I want to support Black-owned businesses. I want to support, Latino-owned business. So there's a lot of different ways that we can define community. So we see on SMBX investors really take that word and kind of use it to what they feel identifies with them.
Thank you for that. I'm going to ask a quick question about something that's on the slide. So particularly under the requirements, it does mention that there is a background check. Can you say just a little bit about what that means? And I'll tell you one of the reasons that I'm asking that question. DSLBD specifically has programs to support returning citizens and justice impacted residents of the district in growing their businesses. Are there spaces there in which someone could look and understand what might be involved in the background check?
Yeah, background checks, because we're regulated by the SEC and FINRA, background checks are obviously required by both of those institutions. And really, we're looking for financial crimes because no one can be listed on the platform that's committed any sort of like financial crime because it's an investment. So we have to present information to investors in an impartial way. And so that's really what that's reflected for.
Got it. So if someone wasn't sure what something might be, is there
Mhm.
someone they could talk to and just sort of be like, hey, I'm just kind of curious. Would I run into an issue with this? And is that a conversation that they could have?
That's a Phil. I don't know if you would know. I actually, I'm not.
I'm not totally sure. I think, I think probably one of the underwriters at um or one of the issuers at SMBX would be able to speak to it and maybe, refer it to one of your underwriters is
Yeah,
what I'm
I
guessing.
mean, it's really because we're required by the SEC and it's their it's not SMBX's regulations,
Mhm.
it's the
Right.
government's regulations to raise on if you are to raise a security. So I would guess that you might also be able to reference um, perhaps like doing a quick Google search on what the SEC and FINRA define as like impartial crimes, I guess.
I appreciate that. Um, and then I have a ton of questions. So I think this is always so interesting and great for entrepreneurs to really be thinking about a lot of these different pieces. And one of the things that we talk with entrepreneurs about a lot is thinking about how they are getting into good and supportive lending and avoiding predatory lending.
Yes.
And I wonder if you could talk about how sort of where your space is in that supportive lending and maybe just add some additional reflections on that because we know it's a constant space for folks to be learning and thinking about.
Absolutely. I think that's so true. Actually, I was just on a panel in Portland, Oregon, talking about the what I call the red flags and the green flags of good lending partners. And obviously, one of the biggest green flags is seeing requirements. These types of things show that a lending partner is very serious about the repayment process. Also, it's transparency. That's also something that's very important to us as SMBX and what we do. We're very transparent throughout the entire process. And in fact, after you meet with us and you upload your financials, you receive a non-binding quote. So that's really important for people to know that if someone says, oh, this is a binding quote, that's usually a red flag. So you receive a non-binding quote from us at SMBX, and we will actually tell you upfront the amount that you will have to pay every month for the term of the loan. So I would say, transparency in the entire process, understanding the repayment structure, understanding also the consequences of defaulting on a loan. That's really important. If someone does not give you like very explicit instructions on what happens if you default, that's a huge red flag. There are a lot of people that I have also, worked with and seen that have fallen into predatory lenders. And then the other thing, and this is going to sound very cliche, but it's worth saying, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is.
Thank you for all of those really great tips. And a lot of really, really great tips. And it leads me to, I think one of my last couple questions, though I could ask you questions all day and I'm appreciating this a lot. But I noticed also on the slide, it's mentioning a little bit about refinancing. And I think to that space, and maybe it's just sort of putting a few more words to space of when people are thinking about refinancing,
Sure.
often they could be doing it for a lot of different reasons. Sometimes people are trying to refinance because they have gotten into a loan that's not fitting or a bad loan. And so when people are looking, they're sort of wondering like, will someone refinance my bad loan? And how can they explore that with you? How can they understand that? There may or may not be spaces in the underwriting that it fits, but how would they even start approaching asking that question with you?
Yeah, most people, whenever I have, the one-on-one calls with them to discuss like what it is they want to raise for, we call that as the use of funds. Um, Generally speaking, it's not going to be viable if you're only raising capital to refinance. It can be a part of raising capital, but it shouldn't be the entire thing, if that makes sense. So, for example, I was chatting with someone earlier today who mentioned they wanted to raise capital to refinance credit card debt because they had really high interest rates on their credit card. But they also were interested in purchasing some equipment and also doing some improvements to their location. So that tends to be a better scope. So what I tell people is think of it as like refinancing can be a portion of what it is you're raising capital for. It shouldn't be the entire reason you're raising capital. And as another like tip for any lending partner, it's very rare that a lending partner is going to be give you a yes if you're late on payments or back rent. They're really all loans and anything in this world should be really for growing and expanding your business, not for any like past, issues you've had with the business.
Thank you for that description. And I think to that point of sort of thinking about how when you're taking lending, it is a period of growth. Even if you weren't necessarily thinking about growth until you're like, I need to grow because now I need to grow past other issues. So, but I also need to grow at the same time. When folks are starting to talk about those things, do you have a sense of how long someone might start when they start thinking about SMBX to when they might actually start raising? That's not how long your process is, but like just sort of like the process for someone, because they've got to put ideas together, they've got to put financials together, but they've got to create that strategy too. I don't know if you could shed any light on that.
Yeah, I would say that a good time for, the reality is that, I meet business owners in all different parts of their timeline. For some people, I meet them at the very beginning of their due diligence for looking at lending partners. Sometimes I meet people who are already at the end of that process and they're ready to sign the dotted line. I would say when you're at a point where you realize that you're incurring a loss because you're not able to grow, that is the like perfect like Venn diagram for you to like start considering lending partners. And I would give yourself an like it's so dependent, right? For some people, you need to dedicate time to research. So, it should be that you compare SMBX to an SBA loan, or you compare it to a bank loan, or you compare it to other, lending partners that are out there. It shouldn't just be, well, I met with SMBX and this looks great, so let's do this. You should have multiple things that you're comparing against SMBX, because at the end of the day, you really want to understand all of the stipulations. Like, for example, one thing that really makes us stand out is that we do not have a personal guarantee. The SBA does have a personal guarantee. So for some people and some business owners, that might be a make or break. For a lot of people, they don't want to lose their house or lose their car because their business didn't do what they wanted it to do and they had to declare bankruptcy, right? So the only thing that you can never get rid of when you declare bankruptcy is, an SBA loan guarantee or like your student loans, frankly.
Thank you for that. I have one final question before before asking for any final thoughts. I don't see any other questions in the chat, but I want to go back on the marketing piece,
Yeah.
which is exciting and interesting. And one of the things that we often talk to entrepreneurs about is thinking about so basically doing double duty on your marketing time. And I
Yes.
think to that, sort of when you are crowdfunding, you are also potentially talking to potential
Yeah.
customers as well as potential investors, and they may be the same people or they may become the same people, and really thinking about how marketing for the crowdfunding campaign itself fits into that larger marketing perspective, maybe grows it, supports it, just other thoughts related to that.
Yeah, a lot of times when small business owners first come onto the platform, for some of them, it might be the first time they've had a marketing strategy, right? So a lot of people I meet are kind of, they're the sole proprietor, they're doing everything, right? They're running the business, they're doing the social media, they're doing the email marketing, and so it's been kind of sporadic. It hasn't been as dedicated. One of the great things about working with SMBX and really our marketing team is that you kind of start to develop a whole concept of what it means to commit to a marketing strategy. So our team of experts works with you. They create the they create the ads, they create the copy, the social media posts for you, the copy in the email for your email marketing. And so what it does is kind of develop some really great habits, because you see the strategy that our team will say, okay, let's launch at this time, and then you're going to send another email, a week from now, and I'm going to email you this, folder with all your assets. So what I see is that small business owners for the first time understand the importance of that marketing strategy, also understand how to organize a marketing strategy. And then hopefully by the end of their campaign, not only have they, reached a whole new demographic of, customers, but also investors. But hopefully by the end of that campaign, they've also seen the power that having a marketing strategy in place can really, do for their small business. It's really impressive to see when I've worked with businesses to see, 6 months from now, see them still doing the suggestions that our team has made from SMBX marketing.
Absolutely love it. Phil and Caroline, thank you so much for spending some time with us today and telling us about SMBX and other pieces. I want to turn things over to you to just say any final thoughts, and then we'll close out.
I guess my final thoughts would be if you are a small business owner and you are in a position where you are feeling that your growth is causing you loss and you want to like capitalize on some momentum, that's the time to reach out and meet with us at SMBX, because when you see that opportunity, I think small businesses can easily succeed from having, all of the right elements, but also businesses can fail if they don't capitalize on the momentum and the growth. So we're really here to help you capitalize on that growth and momentum. And I would say one other part is that no matter if you raise on SMBX or not, or if for some reason you don't qualify, you still get to use the services of Phil and his team. And, it's always a good idea to have your finances in order. That's never going to be a bad thing as a small business owner.
I could not have said that better myself. Yeah, our services are free and it's the best deal in town. So if you're interested in learning more about SMBX and you're a DC, you're a local business, then please get in touch with Caroline and myself. Caroline, do we say what a business should do if they want to learn more?
Yeah, actually, we have a website. I don't know if there's a way for me to drop it in the chat. Oh, you know what? I think there is. So let me see if I can just pull that up and I will bring it into the.
Great. We'll also definitely share it afterwards as well. But it's been really cool working with Caroline and her team and just seeing the excitement that the businesses who are raising generate. You're talking about businesses that have often raised money very, very quickly on the platform, and that's been wonderful to see.
Yeah,
Yeah, please get in touch.
Yeah, please get in touch. I just dropped the webpage. That's our landing page where you can learn more information. It also gives a way to sign up to invest and also explore the offerings as well. It also shows that if you're interested in, learning more for your business, this is also, so that's for the investor. The first one I was for the investor, and then this one is specifically for if you're interested in raising on SMBX with our partnership with CNHED.
Fantastic. And just for folks who are listening on the recording, that is on.thesmbx.com/DC Rebuild. All right. Thank you, everybody. I hope everyone has a great day. Thank you again to Caroline and Phil.
Thanks so much.
Great. Thank you. Thanks, Kate.